everyone, what's up? My name is Joss and welcome back to my channel Squibbles Reads. Today I'm going to be recommending you one graphic novel, one graphic memoir, and also one volume of manga. And last night I asked on Twitter and I found out that all of those were different things, so don't at me about that. Like I've been talking about for like 9 million years, I got super sick and it was really hard for me to get back into the swing of reading after that, but luckily graphic novels were there for me and really helped me get my concentration and my reading flow back. So without any further ado, let me introduce you to these titles. So first I'm going to recommend a graphic memoir called Lighter Than My Shadow by Katie Green. This is about her life and her experience being diagnosed with anorexia nervosa as an adolescent and then moving into college and then into young adulthood. This book is extremely powerful. As I open it up, you can see that it is all drawn in black and white. And I didn't understand the true hopelessness that she was trying to convey in the story until I saw one panel with these teeny tiny little dots and flecks of color. And those were used to represent the one thing that did bring her hope, which was drawing and art. Throughout the book, she uses a symbol of a mouth in her stomach, or like superimposed on her stomach, to represent some of the urges that she felt, as well as hunger. And as you can see on this page, and on this page here, these scribbles are used to represent the size and the density of these thoughts that are starting in her head. And it represents how strong these triggers are for her at that point in time. Katie also has an overwhelming desire to be perfect, which starts as a child. And going through her life, we see her replaying her childhood memories and how they start to affect her and how they can begin to start her thought spirals. There is a lot of use of different shades of gray, but she uses like pure black and pure white space in a really powerful way. For example, areas where she's coming in and out of consciousness and where she's feeling totally lost and empty. Some of these images are extremely powerful, but they could bring up some things for you perhaps. So I would definitely put a content warning on this for eating disorders, trauma, body image, perfectionism, and also sexual assault. Next, I'm going to talk about the one volume of manga that I read and adored. This is called My Brother's Husband, Volume 1 by Gengoro Takame, and the second volume is coming out later this year. So this takes place in Tokyo, and we have Yaichi, who is the father of Kana, who is the sweetest little girl. Yaichi and his twin brother Ryoji became estranged about 10 years ago, and then Ryoji moved to Canada. However, he recently passed away, and his widow husband, Mike Flanagan, who is a big burly Canadian man, goes to Tokyo to visit Yaichi, and Kana shows up on their doorstep one day, and he stays with them. They kind of explore Ryoji's past a little bit, going to all of their childhood places where they shared memories together, and how they have each dealt with his passing. Another big part of this book is that I'm going to read you a little bit of the dust jacket. It says, "It's an unprecedented and heartbreaking look at the state of a largely still closeted Japanese gay culture, how it's been affected by the West, and how the next generation can change the preconceptions about it and prejudices against it." So that is a huge part of it, and most of it in the story is presented in Yaichi's point of view. For example, I think the first part where he realizes this is there's one part where his prejudices come out in his actions, and then he thinks to himself, if this was my brother's wife, then I would be treating her, or like a supposed her, a totally different way as I'm treating my brother's husband right now, so he corrects his behavior. And there's another scene where Yaichi has just finished taking a shower, and he's coming out of the shower. Normally he just like wears a towel or like wears a t-shirt and some underwear, and he's just like, he's thinking about whether Mike will hit on him, but then he realizes, you know, just because he's gay doesn't mean that he will hit on every single man in existence. Again, I think the author and artist here used black space and white space very well, where they're drifting into inner monologue. For example, they use kind of like black space kind of drifting into it, if that makes any sense. Apart from all of those themes, it definitely goes into grief and the expectations of men in this society, and how crying can sometimes be associated with weakness, and how Yaichi hasn't really shown any emotion about, number one, his brother coming out, and number two, his brother's death. And we also find out that Yaichi and his ex-wife have gotten divorced, and they co-parent Kana, and he hasn't really grieved that relationship either, and I guess the change of that relationship. There's also this one amazing scene at the end of this, volume, I guess, where he realizes that his duty is not necessarily to protect his daughter, but it is just to raise her to try and not cause any harm. So yeah, that is My Brother's Husband, and I am so happy that the second volume will be coming out later this year. And the last thing that I'm going to recommend you guys is a graphic novel. You might have heard about me talk about it in my February wrap-up part 1. If you missed it, I will leave it up there in the card, either side, and also in the down bar below. This one is called called Mishadra by Yasmin Omar Atta. This is about an Arab American boy. His name is Isaac, and he is in college. He has also been diagnosed with epilepsy, and we see him go through his day-to-day life dealing with his symptoms. Getting through college is honestly pretty tough for him. He has a hard time completing his homework, and for example, he gets distracted by things like his friends having parties, his neighbors having parties, and the way that little things are around the house that make it just a little bit more difficult for him to keep up with coping with the symptoms along with completing his work. And with all of this stuff, sometimes he finds himself feeling anxious about, for example, asking his friends to turn their music down. And then he starts to feel guilty, like, why do I even need my friends to turn their music down? They should be just living their life the way that they are. And then it starts this huge spiral, and I feel like I know how that feels, and it just absolutely broke my heart. There are also these other scenes where he goes to some of his doctors, not all of them, and when he presents in the office, he isn't having any like acute attacks, any symptoms that are very obvious or visible during these office visits, and the doctors are extremely dismissive of him, which sometimes can happen with people who experience chronic pain or chronic illness, and it is incredibly infuriating. The author also uses different colors of the actual paper that the book is drawn and printed on. So for example, there is yellow paper, pink paper, and black paper. Yeah, honestly, I think this graphic novel is amazing. The drawings are very vibrant. I would highly recommend it. Okay, so that is it for this video. Kind of a shorter video today, but I just wanted to let you guys know what got me back into the swing of reading after just laying on the couch like a potato and watching episode after episode of MTV's Catfish. So let me know in the comments down below what your favorite graphic novel is. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.